Yeah.
All right, it looks like we're live. It says we are live, though I'm not seeing it just yet. Let's see what happens. All right, we are live. All right. So this is a very, very special announcement. We're here with Matt Wagner and Ben Granoff. So I guess we should just start it off. Matt, take it away.
Well, we had a lot of guesses online as to what it would be, and some of those guesses do have some future to them. So we're not there yet, but pending. But the big announcement here is the bottom of your screen. We are just launching a brand new website and online store. I have been in this business for so long that I have an enormous pile of comps and extras and perks and promos and all sorts of goodies from my over 4 decades in the business, and we're offering a bunch of these for sale online. You can also it also has a extensive gallery of my stuff and connections to go buy any of my stuff new that's in print. All you have to do is click on the button; it'll take you right there. But then there's also an online store with stuff from the Matt Wagner collection.
Yeah.
And these are all books from my past. I will say we are not selling individual issues. So this is not mycomicshop.com. We're selling only whole arcs. So, for instance, from the original Grendel run, we're selling all of the Panda Brothers run, all of the Bernie Miro run, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And each purchase that you make comes with this certificate of authentication that it is from my private collection, and the certificate is embossed with that seal that you see there. And here, I'll show you what it'll end up looking like.
Doing one live. This is pretty amazing. There's a lot of people here in the comments who are excited. We got Shelly. What's up, Shelly?
Hi, Shell.
And she says, "What's the story, Morning Glory?" Looks like you got your tour dates for Oasis in town.
So your card will look like that. At the top, we will fill in what you purchased, and then I sign each and every one of them. And then on the back, it will be embossed with that seal that you see in the upper right-hand corner of this window, authenticating it as being from my private collection.
Sickness.
And like I said, there's tons of books, but also tons of like cool stuff too. If this is a kind of neat blast from the past, this is kind of very limited. We have a bunch of the original Mage promo posters back from 1985. These are very hard to get your hands on these days. I don't see them show up.
There's 2 versions of that one too.
There's 2 versions of that one. That was the one that just went out to comic shops. And then here is the tour poster from the Mage tour in 1985. It has all the dates and all the stores that we went to in 1985. That was, for anybody that's not familiar with that tale, that was me and a group of my buddies in a tricked out van, and we spent 2.5 months on the road driving around the country, stopping at comic shops and signing copies of Mage.
But Matt, it looks like there's a lot of empty space on that poster. Would it be great if there was a way that
you could... Another option on the website, on the online store, is you can pay for signatures and you can pay for remarks as well. I'm not doing a lot of conventions these days. I'm not as young as I used to be. So I get various email and Facebook inquiries about, when are you going to be somewhere? I'd love to get this signed and that signed. Here's your chance. All you have to do is sign up, purchase something online, and it'll come your way. Now, this handsome young red-hatted fellow sitting in the lower corner there is my friend Cam, who is going to be processing all of your orders. So if you get angry about anything, take it out on him.
Yep, I'll be the bad cop.
But yeah, the other thing I would like to say is don't really send us inquiries. If you don't see it there, we probably don't have it. I have a very incomplete collection of my stuff over the years, so far as having extras to sell of everything. So if it's there, we have it. At the same time, I will say we are still kind of digging through my vault, which is a huge storage pallet in my crawl space, and stuff is coming to the surface all the time. So we will be amending stuff that's available. Just keep checking back and looking. We are the listings on the website will be alphabetical, so to help ease it along. But for instance, here's one of the more oddball and rare items. Back in 1925, what was the year?
85?
It was the 25th anniversary, so that would have been
2005.
2005. Yeah.
Yeah.
We produced this commemorative coin through Dark Horse. You can see the coin here. It's pure sterling silver. It's a skull on one half and the 100 Rose mask on the other half, and then it's got a pattern of roses behind the skull. They are signed and numbered. It was limited to 25 editions. There are only 25 of these buggers. Again, I never see these on eBay. Those that bought them, they sit on them. And we have very few of these, but it's just an example of some of the oddball things we have available. Here's a really oddball thing. I have had so many cool promo items over the years. At one point, Dark Horse produced Grendel coffee from a local Portland coffee roaster. I only have 2 of these, and I'm willing to sell one of them. So that's just an illustration of how rare and weird some of these items that we have will be. Here's amazing. Another very cool one.
Shelly has a question. What's the price range for stuff?
Well, it depends on what it is, man. I mean, some of it's expensive, some of it's not as expensive. Almost all of it you could, if you're a dedicated searcher, you can probably find it cheaper. But again, you're buying it off me. You get the certificate. It's going direct to the source.
Right. Not only do you get what you order, and not only do you get the personalized embossed card, but
Eli, I'm so glad I have you here to shepherd me through this. Every purchase of $500 or more receives a vintage Grendel bookmark that was from back in the mid 90s, I think, as well. So every purchase of $500 or more gets you a bookmark. This was just a gorgeous art print. What? It was done for Behold the Devil. It's 18 by 24. It's on really, really, really good art stock. These were never available for retail sale. They were sent out as a retailer incentive to retailers only. You ordered so many copies of that series and you got one of these. So there again, these are very rare. I've never seen them on eBay. They only went to retailers, and retailers either sold them right away to somebody they knew was a Grendel fan, or they held on to them themselves. So we have a limited supply of those as well. And upcoming will be a whole store of Grendel merch. People have been after me for a while now. I used to have this ongoing relationship with Graffiti Designs. My dear friend Bob Chapman of Graffiti Designs has produced a ton of great Grendel merch over the years. Bob has folded up shop with Graffiti, so that supplier is no longer there. And I will say, if you look around, you can find a lot of fucking bastards pirating my stuff on Redbubble and sites like that. There have been many instances where I sent Redbubble cease and desist letters from my lawyer. The guy just comes back with a different name, a different vendor name, and so you could buy those pirated editions, and none of that goes to your favorite Grendel creator, or you could buy direct off me. We're going to have an extensive line of Grendel shirts and hats and all sorts of stuff. Some mage stuff too that will be coming very, very soon. The site, the slot is there on the site. I'm finalizing designs with my designer right now. We're just going to keep, luckily we're in a day and an age when we can just keep adding designs, and we're just going to keep adding Grendel designs. So it's worthwhile checking back. I'll be sending out regular updates on my social media pages. Eli, I'm not sure. Is there a way they can sign up for news bumps on the website itself?
Yes, we can add that. We haven't done that yet, but yes, we can add that. Absolutely. Speaking of, Shelly again is asking directly for Epi. We have a question here from Matthew Bulmer. Will Jim be updating the original art of the DOA site? We were just talking
Jim,
about that.
I will admit, Jim does not update that very often, but there's a section on the website that lets you gives you instructions on how to contact Jim directly. Gives you his email, and the one thing he asks is if you are contacting him directly, that you put a very specific description in your subject line of your email, because stuff like art question tends to get bumped to his spam folder. So put something like inquiry, Matt Wagner Grendel art, something very specific like that. Or if it's a specific series or page, you can list that as well in your subject line. Gets to him much faster and much cleaner.
Hey, and as we're saying down
Josh
here,
Flanders is signed on here. He can comment that Jim's a incredibly reputable dealer, good guy, very responsive, ships his stuff out in a very safe manner.
I've got the banner down here. Matt says the first 10 purchases at Matt Wagner Comics Art
First
get a
10
free
paid
read.
purchases, and you know what? We're gonna make that the first 20 purchases.
Oh my gosh!
Let's go ahead and change that right now. Can you change that?
Change it right now.
Yep.
Let's see.
For the first 20
like,
purchases,
a new
we'll get a
model.
remark on the back of the authentication card.
And that doesn't have to just be tonight. That goes till we
Something
do
like
the
this.
20.
No, it doesn't have to just be tonight. No.
All right. I'm monitoring the order, so as soon as we get our first order, we're going to know about it. So you're showing us now what a remark might look like?
Indeed. Yeah.
Sweet. Now we have someone here. We have Sean Riaz. When I grow up, I want to be a real artist like Matt Wagner. I got to tell you, Sean is an amazing artist.
Oh, right on.
I wonder
Thanks a
where
lot,
you can-
Sean. That's very kind of you to say.
Where can you buy his new book? Oh, yeah, CosmicLionProductions.com.
Oh, is it? He's one of your artists. He does a book for you.
Interesting.
Yeah, right on. Terrific.
Hey, thanks, Sean, for the little promo there. That's amazing. Jim's the best, says Victor.
Matt, as you shift over to your second Kickstarter campaign coming up, it seems like this is like part of a new model, like a pedigree, a new pedigree model kind of thing.
Yeah, I got to change with the times. I don't want to dry up and fade away. So your remark will be something like that.
Oh, damn. That's beautiful. And that's on the back of the... Yeah.
That'll come on the back of the authentication card. And then... This is an embossing, so it'll be hard to see on this computer camera, but... There, you can see.
There you go.
Actually bent the card a little bit there, but you can see the embossing that says...
No.
The
Matt
bend
Wagner
is part of
collection.
the remark.
Yep.
Quite remarkable.
Yeah, all that just adds up to something that somebody can't fake, you know?
Exactly. That's sweet. I'm wondering, let's see, I think we could probably share a screen and check out the website. Oh, what is that? Cheers, y'all. If you've got one, cheers.
If you got them, drink them.
Matt Wagner. Oh, here's a comment really quickly. James Bravo. I don't know if you've seen his work, Matt. He does some really amazing Grendel pieces. He posts weekly in the Grendel page on Facebook. It's really, really.
Oh, well, then I've
interesting
probably
stuff.
seen it because I check
You
in on
definitely
that
have.
regularly.
I
I
think
tend to check in very quietly, not really creative.
he's writing
giant
like his
scripts.
own Grendel story. I think that's like a fan story.
Oh, terrific!
His own Grendel creation, his own Grendel people and characters. It's remarkable.
Oh, is this the? It's kind of anime looking, and there's a
Yeah.
main female character as well. Yes, of course.
Yes.
I've seen that.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you,
Yeah.
James. Thanks very much.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
looks
it's really
great.
cool.
Yeah.
Here's Funk Slop. I've known old Funk Slop since first grade. A good friend. All right, let's try to see if we can picture in picture. This is the first time I've ever done this. Well, present, share screen. All right, let's do this. Oh, sweet, it's working. All right,
Beautiful.
Oh.
Yep.
you guys can see the screen pretty well.
There's the main page. So again, I want to stress to everybody, the address is mattwagnercomics.art, not .com, .art, for obvious reasons. So mattwagnercomic.art, and up at the top there, you have the home. That's the home page. There's the shop.
Yeah, let's go one by one. Let's check out
Yep.
the shop. Here's the
There's the vault. There's the there's the storage
Well,
closet.
that's Matt Wagner's vault.
everything's in there. And I guess there's some stuff in there, Matt, that's not for sale because you only have a few, one or two.
Yeah, like for instance that lunchbox up there. I only have 2 of those, so I'm not really selling that. But those the little figurines there in the orange box, what are known as Sirico figures.
Yeah, right.
I'm selling some of those. I have more than 2 of those.
Yeah.
We will be selling some of the right below that. You can see the graffiti action figures. We'll be selling some of those. I don't think those are listed yet, but they will be soon.
Nice.
But of course, plenty of books.
Got some info here. Another shout out to the original art.
Yeah, there are the instructions about how to that website that, as the one commenter was pointing out, does not get updated that often. But there's Jim's personal email. He lives in the Washington, D.C. area, and his email is capshockeyfan@yahoo.com. Here's an example of there's a cool example of some oddball thing. Way back in the 90s, I did a by mail newsletter, an old school newsletter, and I only had 3 out of the 5 issues left, but you can buy those.
And here's an example of how you can add on these things. Each issue signed by Matt.
You click on premium upgrade there.
Don't look at my last 4 digits, everyone. Forget stuff like that. All right.
And one thing
you need to amend that there, Eli.
Oh, jeez.
It's a process. It's a process.
I don't think it shows how limited some of this stuff is on the website, though.
True.
So
Yeah.
don't sleep on your orders if you're debating things, because there's some things that only have 2 inventory of 2.
There's one of those figures. Now, right below that is the new Grendel figure that is not for sale by me, but if you click on that, it'll take you to the retailer that's producing that.
Well, yeah, that's down here. Ooh. This one is linked here. Maybe we should move that one.
Oh yeah, we need to change that. Yep, we'll do that tonight.
And some oddities like this was something I never had even heard of or knew that.
Yeah, that was just a one-off painted cover I did for a Daredevil paperback.
Yeah.
Nice
Pretty
take.
cool. Who wrote that? Didn't say on the
Christopher
cover.
Golden.
Okay. Here's Ben's favorite Grendel tale.
Devil's Hammer.
Just kidding. He does not like
Oh
it. Just there's lots of stuff, and the
yeah, let's talk about the t-shirts. Eli,
Yeah.
you take the t-shirt helmet.
Well,
there.
again, the collectible t-shirt market is one that is like unrivaled at this point as far as people wanting stuff. I keep a pretty hot eye on eBay for shirts because especially when we were starting the cast, I was like, I want at least a week of shirts to wear a different one on every episode. And still I hadn't seen a lot of these ones that Matt has, and so we split them up by by size, color, and everything. So, these are all super limited. I think maybe the one that has the most of is like one has 5. It's super limited.
And most of them are unopened. They're still in the bag. Never been out of the bag.
Absolutely. In the graffiti.
What's the
bag.
term for that? What'd you call those?
Oh, dead stock.
Dead stock.
Dead stock. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh,
So-
and right below that is a Grendel poster that I had produced back in the 90s as well that I sold for a while at conventions. It's what's it say it is there? 18 by 23. It's done on a real heavy stock. It's done by a designer friend of mine that produced a lot of posters for local rock shows here in Portland. So it very much has kind of a indie band kind of flavor to it.
Yeah, it's super heavy, super cool. Would look amazing.
Shelly, that's a great idea about the badges. I will look into that for sure.
Ooh, badges.
We have a recommendation here. Any plans for a set of 1-inch badges? Inexpensive, but perfect for young punks to put next to their Clash and Jam badges, which would be a very honored spot to inhabit indeed.
I could have guessed who that was from.
Yep.
It'll go next to Tom Petty for me.
There you go. Yep. Another honored slot.
Where we go? Okay, yes. Tons of stuff. This is a favorite shirt of mine, honestly. I love the back hit, as you would say, that pin is one of my favorite things. Another great one.
Oh
These are
yeah, I can
classic.
check if I have any of those pins available for sale. We might add one or two of those pins. I don't have many of those, but
Yeah.
those are way out of print. They came and went.
They're so big and so heavy. I just jam mine right into the wall.
Yeah,
like
yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
These Grendel Primes are
And the
classic. This
Prime
might be
T-shirts that are really cool looking. Yep.
that might be the one that there's the most of. I think that was the highest print. Didn't you tell me you printed those yourself or
I
something?
did those myself through my newsletter, that Ancient Brain Parts newsletter. I got a funny little tale about that too. One of our closest friends, a couple that my wife and I are friends with, she was at a local gas station one day and a guy had that T-shirt on. And she said, "Oh, hey, Grendel, hey, I'm friends with Matt." And she said, "Oh my God, the guy wouldn't let me go." He just kept talking and talking. I said, "Maybe next time don't mention it."
Yeah, they never. Ooh, it looks like we. Oh yes, we have 2 orders.
Yeah, awesome.
Oh man. Okay, so the first one is from Victor Bracamontes. I hope I said that right.
Yep.
And the second one is artist extraordinaire Christian Mizimo,
Awesome.
one of the coolest guys, one of the best artists I know. He got a shirt and The Devil in Our Midst. Oof, one of my favorites. Ooh, we got a new one, Joshua Flanders too. Okay, the orders are flying.
Right on.
So Victor was the first order, and he got the beautiful Grendel Cycle poster and the absolutely even more beautiful Grendel Prime shirt. I got to tell you
Victor,
guys, I didn't watch any.
your remark will note that you were the #1 order on the site.
Oh, all right, nice. All right, let's keep scrolling here. Yeah, and you said you don't offer any single comics, but it's even better because you get 1 through 5 of Devil in Our Midst there. You get all the floppies, or you could get the trade.
Click on the Devil in Our Midst, the not the trade, but the individual issues there. I'll tell a fun little story about that.
Yeah.
So, that was written by my buddy Steven Siegel and drawn by British artist Paul Grist. And Paul has such a simple style. I was doing the covers for this series and trying to capture the flavor of the artists that did the interior art. And I didn't really want to. I thought it would have been too easy to just do something that looked too much like Paul's work himself. So I came up with the cool idea of forcing myself to render something super small. So each of the original paintings for these covers, for these 5 issues, is only this big. It's as big as a trading card. And so then when it blew up, it necessarily, kind of exaggerated the brush strokes, the paint strokes, the marks, and forced it to become something other than something that was kind of simplistic like Paul's art,
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, you can kind of see that. Whereas
you can see the paper texture. Yep. Mm-hmm, yep.
Well, that says out of stock. We only had 1 of those, and Mizimo bought it. So
there you go.
Goes. That's how fast it can happen, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Yeah, and I remember when I brought those originals into the office, Diana, my editor Diana Schutz, said to me, "We're paying you painted cover rate for that?" And I said, "Diana, it's a creator-owned book. I'm paying me painted cover rate for that."
That's true. Sorry, Cam, all these comments are going over your face, but
Oh, it's okay.
That is cool. The Sandman Mystery Theater shirt, that was one of the more rare ones I think we found for sure.
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's really sweet. All right, so let's go back here and keep scrolling, y'all.
Already
Devil May
selling out.
Care. What was that, Cam?
Oh, we're already selling out of merchandise.
It's pretty amazing.
Well, again, there's some of them that are very little. Some of them we have
Just
more
the one.
stock of, Like, for instance, there's
Kevin's-
I don't know how many we have of these. Scan down just a little bit there, Eli.
Yep.
There was that Shadow versus the Grendel cover there, or Grendel versus the Shadow, was done exclusively for the Baltimore Comic Convention where I was appearing that year. So it was only available there at that con.
Yeah.
So that's kind of an exclusive and limited edition. And then go back.
I gotta keep blowing these up because my
And then we did for the actual edition itself, we did variant covers, but instead of having guest artists, I just did different drawings. So if you click on the one there, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that one's amazing.
Yep. So each one of the issues of Grendel versus the Shadow had variant covers as well as the main cover.
That one looks like you colored it with marker or something.
Yep.
Or...
Yep. Done in very much my convention art style. Yep. With colored markers, art markers.
Sweet. Ooh, Devil by the Deed. A great gift for your friends come this holiday time. A great place to get them started on Grendel. Devil Child, another amazing story. And the classic Bernie Kamiko collection, or the Dark Horse.
Go ahead and plug your book there, Eli.
I'm making a pretty amazing Bernie tribute zine that I think I'm going to do a short run hardback for friends and family, and then I'm going to do a wider run in paperback.
This is for Bernie Moreau. If anybody doesn't know, we recently lost Bernie very tragically.
Yeah.
So this is kind of honoring and hopefully exposing a whole new group of people to Bernie's work that
absolutely.
You know, I've said before that I just feel like Bernie never quite got the audience he deserved.
Agreed. We tried, man. And, you know, this one we found a lot of, you know, stories that we hadn't seen, art from Matt's, you know, that have never been seen other than by Matt. And
a couple pieces he did exclusively for me just as gifts. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And stuff from some of the recent collectors, stuff from comics. I have new pinups from Matt Howarth and Michelle Fife, and a bunch of amazing stuff from Diana Shook.
Yeah, that Michelle Fife one's terrific. Love that.
Yeah. So it's just going to be really good. And I'm still working on it. I'm still figuring out exactly how I want to donate the money and to what. But yeah, it's going to be out probably end of October. Beautiful. Yeah. Josh Flanders too is another order. He just got his in.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh, thanks, Josh.
Oh yeah, Matthew saying he loves the Edvin Bukovic. I really don't want to share this, but I did see that there's a new page going up on Heritage of a page of Edvin's from his Grendel Tales. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. But nobody bid or anything. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. All right, let's continue to go here. We've got an amazing.
Well, here, let me tell a little story about that.
Yeah, please.
So I can't remember whether Edvin was still alive or not. I think he was. So a number of years ago, I did an event in Spain. One of the strangest and most unique and coolest events I'd ever done in comics. It was a week-long carnival in a small city on the North Atlantic coast of Spain called Gijon, Gijon. And a guy that used to live there now lives in Mexico, but he keeps coming back every year to stage this thing called Semana Negra, which means Noir Week. So in most respects, it's like a typical carnival. It's, go-kart rides, a Ferris wheel, food stalls as you go down the fairway. But then every so often there's a tent. And, in the United States, those tents would be full of basically farm crafts, you know what I mean? Like quilts, pies, pickling things, that sort of thing. Here it was full of comic book art. And one year they did a whole year dedicated to Grendel. And so they had 125 pieces of Grendel art. A bunch of it was from Edvin. When you went into the tent, there was a life-size statue of Grendel that looked incredibly cool. And in fact, when you entered the festival was all set up around the city's soccer stadium. And when you entered the fairway, way up on pedestals were the statues of other characters they had honored from years past. So like the Phantom, Mandrake the Magician, Rita Hayworth, Humphrey Bogart. So it took in all aspects of noir narrative. It wasn't all just comics, but like Captain Haddock from Tintin. And yeah, a bunch of, I forget how many pieces of Edvin's they had, probably 20. Because one of the guests was Darko. Darko came over from Croatia to Spain, and he and I were two of the Grendel guests. Yeah, incredibly just a remarkable experience.
I think there was an article about that in the back of one of the Dark Horse Grendels. I think.
Yes, yeah. We published a thing. I took some photos and stuff. Yep.
Yeah.
And in fact, okay, here's an even funnier story. One of the other guests was George R.R. Martin, right? And so I knew George from some of his earlier stuff, from Wild Cards, a book he edited about short stories about superheroes in a strange world. And he knew Grendel, and we both spoke English. So they're like, "Hey, man, yeah, let's get together and have breakfast." So Darko, the writer of Devils and Deaths, Edvin's writer, when he found out I was having breakfast with George, he got all excited, and he's like, "Oh, can I come to breakfast? Can I come to breakfast?" So, sure, And so we get to breakfast, and he's all over George about this new. He's only had 2 books published at this point, but this new series he's doing called Game of Thrones. Actually, it's Song of Ice and Fire, and I said to George, "Oh, I don't know these. What are they?" And Darko turns to me, he's like, "Look, I hate fantasy books. I hate long books. I love these long fantasy books." So that's how I learned about Game of Thrones, by having breakfast with George R.R. Martin.
The rest is history with that one.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, so there's pretty much everything on here, like all your favorite Grendel stuff. Now that I'm thinking about it. And
Some
you
mage
have
stuff too.
Say that again?
Some mage stuff too. Click on the statue there. Let's see if that one takes you directly to the
Now, see, I made separate listings, but here are those. Like this one will take you directly to. Do you see that executive replicas now? Yeah. Oh no, it went to a different tab now. But yeah, these 2 at the bottom. Check out some direct links to current merch if you click down. Yeah, it opens to a new window, and I'm only showing one window, but that's where you would do it to get to the separate links.
Oh, I see a note there from Shelley that Mark Buckingham's wife Irma is from Gijón. Huh, cool.
Oh,
it's a beautiful little city. It really is.
Adam X1. Uh-oh. He grabbed the fig. We may not have that on this. Or which one did he grab? Let's see.
As a side note, I was surprised to see Marvel trotted Wild Cards out. Maybe within the last 10 years, I discovered that a few weeks ago. That there was a recent Wild Card series 5 to 10 years ago.
Because there was one many years ago. I think who did it first? Was it First Comics?
Oh, maybe.
First or Eclipse, one of the other indie publishers.
There were like some Prestige Epic Comics anthology appearances, something like that.
Hey, now Matt, you have some of the long box heroes to sell, though, right?
I do. Yeah. Is that listed anywhere?
They are listed because that's what Adam just got. I wanted to make sure it wasn't one of the ones.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Great.
Yeah, we need to correct those other ones right away tonight.
I could get on that. Yeah, so guys, don't buy this statue or the brand new figure yet. Past Prime. Oh, and a side note, if you'd like to get more in touch with any of these stories up to Grendel Tales, 4 Devils, 1 Hell, feel free to check out The Devil in Detail. It's a Grendel reread podcast available here on YouTube.
Hosted by Eli and Ben, and up to episode number what, fellas?
127.
127 episodes.
Yeah,
it's worth checking out because not only did they do a very intricate and insightful look at each and every issue, they get a lot of cool guests on. I've been on it a bunch. We had a group thing one time with me and Tim Sale and Diana Schutz and Teddy Christensen, right?
Yeah, That was one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
You and Joe Matt, I must say, was another highlight.
We did it with me and Joe Matt. Again, Joe sadly passed. Tim sadly passed. So these are real historical documents in some degree,
Yeah, and another great one where Ben and I got to go hang out with Joe and run around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the cool thing about that is he showed us a sketchbook, and there was a really cool drawing that he drew of you drawing him.
Yeah,
and I think.
And I have the matching one too.
That was so cool. That was so cool to see. All right, shout to James Bravo here. He says he's having problems with the shipment address. He lives in a different country, so let's talk about that a little bit. Are we doing international shipping, or do we want to do it case by
We hadn't
case?
really made plans for that.
I think as of now, we don't have that option.
We could try to work something if you guys want. James, there's a contact.
Yeah, James, to follow the contact link, and we'll try and work that out with you.
Yeah,
At this point, we're not offering international shipping, but since you were good enough to show up here to the live launch, we will try and accommodate you. Yep, right there.
Yep.
So hit us up. We'll try to figure it out for you.
Oh, I don't think I changed that email.
Oh, that'll be my job. I know a thing or two about international shipping, though.
Okay, yeah. So these are. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go back to where we were. I think we're on page 4. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff on here, and let's maybe cruise around the rest of the website for now. I'm not fishing for plugs here.
Oh, and look at that, Dracula. This is a good segue for the fact that in 6 days we are launching the Kickstarter for our second volume. Me and Kelly Jones, the magnificent Kelly Jones, our second volume, Dracula, Book 2, The Brides. And for anybody that hasn't been following this is me and Kelly doing our take on Dracula, wherein we are sticking strictly to the information in the original novel, and yet we are not retelling the original novel. We are telling all the stories that the novel hints at but doesn't show. So the first volume was all about his origin. Second volume is all about how he attains his 3 vampiric brides over the centuries. And you have to wait to find out what books 3 and 4 are about. But we have plans to do this as at least 4 graphic novels, 1 per year, each of which we're doing as Kickstarter campaigns, each of which will launch right around Halloween.
Yeah, I got to say, I just read it recently, and it blew me away, Matt. Truly blew me away. I don't think I had any idea what I was like in store for. And
good. That's even better.
Good.
Yeah. I keep saying this, and I'll say it again, and I'm not being hyperbolic here. I truly think this will be remembered as Kelly Jones's magnum opus. I mean, you just see him pouring his utter soul into this book. It's really, really beautiful in every way. It is an absolute showcase of everything he's great at. I keep writing this story, and I keep writing these scenes, and I'm thinking to myself, oh, Kelly's going to draw the fucking shit out of this. And then the art comes back, and it's better than I could have hoped it would be, which is a stunning experience, believe me.
Yeah. Every 2-page spread is like more mind-blowing than the next. And it's insane.
And so book 2 is 30 pages longer than book 1.
Really?
Yep.
And would you say more epic than the first?
Yeah, bigger, badder, and bloodier. Very much bloodier. Because, of course, the first novel is about his origin. So we don't get to the vampire stuff for a while. But, boy, book 2, we're deep into vampire lore.
Yeah. Looks like Adam 12 here. He has a tip. The Longbox Heroes figure is sold out everywhere. So really the only place you can get it is here. And it's better here.
Yep. Yeah.
And shout out to him here too, Ben. He says he never misses an episode of The Devil in Detail. So
oh, right on.
Thank you so much for that,
Thank
man.
you,
we love doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, this is funny. Will Tujiro make an appearance in the series? I think you mean Dracula, right?
Yeah. In Dracula, no, he won't. Again, awesome. We're sticking extremely close to the book. We are treating the book as biblical canon. Yet at the same time, I want to stress again, we will not be doing an adaptation of the book. So you won't see Harker's journey to Castle Dracula. You won't see Van Helsing. You won't see Mina or Lucy or any of those. But there is still a ton of story to be told. If anybody is familiar with the book, Dracula, who's this compelling, magnetic character, isn't on screen all that much in the book. There's the great scenes in the castle when Harker first gets there. There's a few scenes once he gets to London, but basically once he gets to London, he's gone doing his own thing. So lots of story to be told, and we're having a blast doing it.
Shout out to Misimo again. Dracula #1 is amazing. Dream team with you and Cal. Can't wait for book 2. Loving Devil's Crucible as well. Yes.
And is that Brennan coloring that one too?
Coloring what?
The Dracula.
No, that's Jose Villarrubia.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
Amazing job with that.
And Jose really captures. I mean, Brennan would have done a great job with it, but Brennan's a very contemporary colorist. Jose's able to bring kind of an old school approach that really taps into the look of the 70s horror comics that Kelly and I adored and grew up with. I mean, it really is a kind of old school approach to this kind of narrative. And Jose knows how to make that work. When Jose first came on board for this, I said to him, Jose, I've never really liked people's coloring on Kelly. Everybody looks at Kelly's art and they say, "Ooh, it's dark and moody. I'm going to color it dark and moody." And it's like, no, Kelly's already done the dark and moody. You need to be bright and vibrant. And I specifically pointed him to Dario Argento's Suspiria, which is just lit up like a neon nightmare the entire time. Mm-hmm. And Mario Bava's Black Sabbath, which is an anthology. There again, lit up with very bright, pinball, almost cotton candy kind of colors, and still is spooky as hell. And he really took that to heart and really utilized those sort of color schemes. And boy,
it's great.
It's magnificent. Yeah.
All right. So Mizimo here said that, he's also loving Devil's Crucible. Is there anything you want to talk about with that? We, again, covered it on Devil in Detail, but it's wrapping up now and the trade was announced.
Well, Devil's Crucible is part of a longer ongoing. So only the first part of it is wrapping up. Devil's Crucible Defiance. Right. Dark Horse has it staggered so that there will be another 4-issue series, one per year, covering. Well, at this point 3, but I think it's gonna be 4 years. I've gotten to the end of part 3, and I think I need another whole 4 issues to wrap this up. So.
That's awesome.
But yeah, the next one will be next year. You'll see all the announcements about that. Somebody asked there why Hero Denied never got collected into a hardcover. We are working on that. There are plans to make that happen. I got a lot of other stuff going on right now. I'm only awake for so long during the day. But yes, we are definitely working on that.
Sweet. And it looks like Brain Tissue Paper, he's never been able to see you at a con. Do you have any plans on doing any cons coming up? Or?
Yeah, good question there, Eli. I will be so I'm not doing many cons. For one thing, as I mentioned, I'm not as young as I was. And the enforced absence from the pandemic really kind of made me not really miss the experience of especially the very large cons. They are just clusterfucks, and it really I don't get a lot out of them. I much more enjoy finding going to smaller cons and venues that aren't quite as large and getting to meet people who can't really go to those big expensive cons in New York and San Diego and et cetera. So the next one I'm going to is in Cincinnati Con, the weekend of October 18th to the 20th, 18, 19, 20 in Cincinnati. And I'll be there and I'll have some stuff for sale. And everybody, if you live in that area or can drive there, please come see me. Otherwise, buy something on the website and get something signed that way.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity. And again, we'll be adding more stuff. Do you think when you get the, Devil's Crucible Defiance trade, you'll add a couple to here, or will it be something where you're adding new stuff when you get it?
I'm sorry, say that again. I was reading one of the comments.
Oh, it's all good. Do you think that you'll be adding new stuff as you get it? Like if you get some, copies of the new trade, would you
Sure. Well, the new stuff we won't be offering so much on the website. We'll have links to it because when it's still in print, you should be able to go buy it via regular booksellers. I don't really want to take business away from the booksellers that are our lifeblood.
Right.
as I said, the vault is still kind of deep, and we're still digging shit out of it. So more stuff will show up that that you hadn't quite expected, and we are going to have hopefully a huge and ongoing flood of merch that we'll keep updating. You know, we're going to have X number of T-shirts and that sort of stuff premiere, but then we'll keep adding to that collection. I'm hoping like every month we can throw another 2 to 3 to 5 T-shirts on that list. You know,
that'd be awesome. We got a question here, a burning question from Jay Doe.
It's the second one, Veragan.
Oh.
Susan is actually named after a former friend of my wife's who I just thought had a really interesting last name, Veragan. And just adopted that. That the first version is probably a typo from a PR person that didn't check themselves. So it happens.
Yeah. Any chance you'll make it to OAX again?
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. They kind of reached out to me briefly. I don't know whether that's going to happen or not. For people who don't know what that is, that was the first con that I did post-pandemic after several years. It was in Orlando, Florida, and it was part of Original Art Fans, the very, very
Comic art fans.
Comic art fans, yeah, the very busy and well-attended website. It's a collective of comic art collections. And they staged their first convention last year in Orlando, Florida, and it was called the Original Art Expo. And it was really great because it was, again, as I said, smaller, more intimate. You know, you got to interact with people as opposed to just big lines of people wanting to get signatures.
Yeah.
And it was all about art. It was all art buyers. It was not comic retailers. It was not books and such. So I just found that a really refreshing change to the model that I had started to become very tired of.
Yeah, that seemed amazing. I definitely want to get to that. And speaking of cons, Reflex Studio says, congrats on the Ringo Award nomination for Devil by the New Masters Edition.
Yeah, we were really proud of that. We were really proud of that book. Of course, you know, that book was a little bittersweet in that it was styled to tie into the 40th anniversary of Grendel, but also the pending live-action Netflix show, which, of course, got killed by Netflix for very shitty fucking reasons, I will say. But I'll be mysterious and oblique here. All is not lost. So there's stuff pending that hopefully will pan out to an even better.
All is not lost.
All is not lost.
Oh my God. Exclusives dropping.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention too, as Matt said, like about stuff that's still in print. If you go to the website and hit the Read MW Comics, we have a huge list here, and you click on any of these. And again, it might not show because I think it'll launch a new window, but it will link you to purchase sites for any of these websites. And there will be.
Yeah, this is a good point to talk about the Dracula book there. So, as I mentioned, we're doing Dracula's Kickstarter campaigns. That is the only place to get the hardcover editions. Dark Horse Comics is offering a trade paperback edition. Same format, which is 8.5 by 11, European album size, but it's soft cover. It's still a very beautiful edition, but the only place to get the hardcover editions, and that's Kelly does a main cover. I do a variant cover, and then we do a limited signed and numbered edition as well. The only place to get those hardcovers is via the Kickstarter campaign. Now, when the new Kickstarter campaign for book 2, The Brides, launches in just 6 days, we will have some remnant issues of the hardcovers for book 1 that you can tack onto your rewards tiers. So go check that out. And as with book 1, if you just pay attention to my social media pages, pretty soon Kelly and I are going to be all over the place talking about this book. We have a ton of interviews lined up already, a ton of written interviews. We are both just thrilled about this collaboration. We're thrilled with how it's all turned out, and we like talking about it.
And again, too, on the page, anytime you see this show more, you click that, there's a ton more, you know, and there is still a lot of your work in print that you can buy.
Yep. Oh yeah, very much so. Yeah.
The one Marvel book ever that you did.
One Marvel book. Yeah.
That is
Like
crazy.
very strangely, Marvel has never contacted me about working with them hardly at all.
That
Like
what
a
is
million
wrong?
years ago, I wrote a Hulk short story for a Hulk annual. But literally never contacted me about doing anything else. And then when Bendis was when the Ultimate Marvel universe was first firing up and was, hot as lava, Bendis contacted me. He had always been a big fan of my work and had said, he was getting ready to line up this Ultimate Marvel team up, and his plan was to kind of make it like Grendel Tales, where they alternated the artists, and he wanted it to be all his favorite indie artists. And would I be interested in doing this? And I said, well, yeah, probably. I said, but only if you give me issue number 1 and only if it's Spider-Man and Wolverine. I decided, let's go full on, let's strike while the iron is hot and deep.
You know what I always wondered, like, about Grendel Black, White, and Red? Were you the first one to use that, like, Black, White, and Red moniker? Was Batman
I don't
Black
think
and
so.
White?
No, I mean, I think now it's just ubiquitous.
It's
of course,
ubiquitous, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe Batman Black and White was before, but I think maybe that was.
I don't think it was. No,
It wasn't.
I think.
Okay, so
Yeah,
they're very close. I don't know. It's
because now it's
here's a
everything
funny
Black,
story
White.
too about that. When I was working on the Batman Black and White story, Mark Chiarello had called me and said, we're doing this Batman Black and White series and I would love you to be part of it. Well, I couldn't really say no to that, but I was right in the middle of working on Batman Grendel 2. And so literally every day at my studio, I had to work on Batman Grendel 2 till about 2:00. And then I had to lay those pages aside and go work on Batman Black and White. And deliberately styled Batman Black and White to look as different as it possibly could from Batman Grendel 2, which of course had lots of lines, lots of rendering, lots of shiny, dangerous shit. Whereas Batman Black and White was lots of big solid blacks and tones using old school Zipatone, and again the polar opposite of what I was doing in Batman versus Grendel 2.
Yeah, James is correct here. Marvel, they've been honestly making lousy comics. And it started with their first mistake. They didn't contact Mr. Wagner again.
At this point, I don't really have I feel like I've done my, there's a certain fun thrill with working with other people's toys. I always equate it to a band doing cover versions of the songs that inspired them to start a band in the first place, And I had one long run writing a book for DC, which was Sandman Mystery Theater. But other than that, I've kind of touched all the characters I would have wanted to work on. One of my last bucket list things was the Shadow, and I got to do a lot of the Shadow. I even got to team up, crossover the Shadow with Grendel.
Yeah.
I think at this point, the only thing DC could offer me, which they will never offer me, is we want you to do a Superman series set in the late 30s and early 40s.
Right.
Never going to happen. But
you did that great story for Superman Red, White, and Blue, I guess.
Right, just red and blue. Yeah, blue and red or red and blue, whatever it was. Yeah, which could be devoid of continuity, so that didn't really matter.
Right.
But at this point, I just have fun doing my own stuff, and my own stuff now is Grendel and Dracula. And love being master of my own domain.
Is Dracula like Dracula is to you, like I guess for many of us, Grendel is like our favorite comic or like our favorite character?
Yeah, I was in some of the recent written interviews we've done for the second book. I point out Stephen King wrote a nonfiction analysis of horror back in his earlier days. When his career was at its first pinnacle, I will call it. And it was called Dance Macabre, and it was an analysis of horror literature. And at that point, he broke up all horror literature into 3 archetypes, and it was Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. And that being the pestilence that consumes, the thing with no name, and the raging beast within. And then he had a 4th subcategory, which was the ghost, which could be the haunted house, and that could fit into any of the other categories as well. It could meld with any of the other categories. of those three, I always liked vampires. I always liked Dracula better. Not that I don't love Frankenstein the Wolfman. I do. But but Dracula was always my jam. You know, I think part of it had to do with the sense of class and aristocratic charm, the bat motifs, and the kind of sexual subtext to it all. You know, so Dracula was always my thing. I had been stewing on what to do with Dracula for literally decades. I wanted to, you know, vampires have shown up in my other work here and there over the years. I had always wanted to do something with the OG vampire, and I just didn't know what it was going to be. And finally, after decades of Kelly Jones and I saying to each other, "We really got to work together someday," he contacted, or he had made a comment like that on a post I had done, and I contacted him privately and I said, "Hey, are you serious about that? Because I think I have the project that will fit both of us perfectly. And I think I really have a grasp on it now." And again, this is after a long time of brewing on how to do Dracula. And luckily he said yes. So
You struck on something real too.
Yep.
All right, hey, let's get some of these. Let's see. Okay, so I think this one.
Yes, new Nosferatu film by Robert Edgar has been waiting for that puppy for a long time, and boy, does it look great.
Adam 12, we did talk about The Mage, the Hero Denied hardback. It's coming, you said, Matt, but it's just taking some time.
Yep.
Okay. Matthew Bulmer. Oh, Pishaw. I do have a cool one. I got that actually from this Kevin Smith auction. I believe that it used to be in the Kevin Smith collection.
Oh, is that from Batman Grendel 2?
Yeah, he's probably talking about this one where Hans holding such a sick one. Yeah, Shelly says Woot and SMT. I agree. Shelly, you're making me feel old. What's SMT? Shake my
Sam and Mystery Theater.
Oh yeah, duh. I thought it was the internet terminology. Okay.
I'm the same, man. Don't worry.
Oh man. Okay, James Bravo says, yeah, Batman or Grendel versus the Shadow is my second favorite next to Batman Grendel. The run made me want to know more of the Shadow and the death of Margot Lane. Sure.
Thanks, James, because that was a definite challenge. Because when you're teaming up the Shadow's not really a contemporary character, not really in print, not like Batman. Batman's still in print. Batman's all over the goddamn place. Batman's a bunch of movies, the high budget movies. And even though the Shadow inspired Batman in so many ways, he's not the huge commercial concern that Batman is. So when I was teaming or crossing over, I should say, Grendel with the Shadow, I had to figure out a way to make the Shadow accessible to contemporary readers that might not know much about him. So that's very gratifying to hear that you found that. Oh, here, let's talk about Sid and Nancy there.
Yeah, this is another cool part of the website. This is Matt. You gave me so much to show.
I'm just gonna keep tacking up more stuff on there. There's a gallery section there that's some published stuff, like that piece that Eli was just talking about there, the Grendel and Batman piece that he owns, and a bunch of sketches. Scan down just a little bit there, Eli, and click on the turtle thing.
Love it.
That was a card I sent to Kevin Eastman at one point.
1985 looks like.
It was all about how one of the turtles stole Kevin's T-shirt.
That's funny.
But go back to the Sid and Nancy thing. So my son's a big fan of the very popular podcast, Last Podcast on the Left, and the main guy on that, Marcus Parks, he and his wife do another podcast that I really love called No Dogs in Space, which is a deep dive into all of my favorite bands. So New York Dolls, Velvet Underground, Ramones, Replacements, Patti Smith, all the stuff that was, just my favorite shit.
They're doing right now.
He and his wife do this podcast, and I sent them an email saying, hey, you guys, this stuff is just like the soundtrack of my entire career. And I kind of knew from listening to Marcus on Last Podcast on the Left that he knows about comics, at least to some degree. And I said, I don't know if you ever heard of me, but I'm a kind of OG comics guy. And he emailed back eventually and said, oh my God, I'm a huge Sam and Mystery Theater fan, and would you be interested in working on a? They do a comic for Z2 Comics called Last Comic Book on the Left. It's a big, thick anthology thing. Would you be interested in possibly drawing a story I would write? Okay, I have almost never worked with other writers in my career. The list is very, very small and very elite. And then he told me he wanted to make it about who killed Nancy Spungen, the infamous murdered girlfriend of Sid Vicious. And I was like, oh, yeah, I think I do want to do that. So that'll be out early 2025. That's a page from it. Drawn by me, colored by Brennan, my son Brennan, of course, who's my regular colorist. If you look at that piece and the shadow piece on the right there, shows you a real example of the range of Brennan's skills. Those two don't look anything like each other.
I'm going to scroll here.
And I got the honor of assisting Brennan on those colors.
Yeah, you did. You were a
on
splatter, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's right.
Pumping myself here, yeah.
So that's what we're all here for, buddy. So
but don't miss the Sid and Nancy is a great.
The gallery here is just a bunch of stuff. So that's from the latest Grendel omnibuses, the Epi Thatcher piece. The piece next to it is from a very old Grendel graffiti designs T-shirt. The Swamp Thing piece is a convention sketch. The Batman thing there in the middle is there's a guy who's been commissioning me for years to do recreations of the first 7 Detective Comics covers that are Batman solo before Robin shows up. So that's one of those. I have 2 more of those to do for him. Anyway, so just a lot of fun stuff to look at there. Pinup I did for Mike Allred for Madman.
Primal.
Convention sketch of my favorite animated show, Primal. If anybody hasn't seen this, just drop everything right now and go watch it. It's Gandhi Tartovsky, who did Dexter's Lab and the Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack. It is the Edgar Rice Burroughs and Robert E. Howard movie you never got to see.
It'll make you cry, though.
We have a caveman and his dinosaur. It is absolutely remarkable, heart-wrenching, so effective storytelling, like some of the best visual storytelling I've ever seen. And to top it all off, it's completely wordless. I mean, this is the extent of the dialogue. Ah! That's about it.
you still cry every other episode or so.
Yeah. That's the power of it, Cam.
Yeah.
I always loved this, man. You did this, and then there's a Black Bolt that are just like so insane. Again, make sure you click the show more, y'all.
I get a lot of kind of unusual requests for.
Oh, here it is. Yeah.
Yep. Well, that was a cover recreation. That's Black Bolt's first. I've done a couple of those over the years. That's a very distinct subset of original art collecting these days. These cover recreations, where people get contemporary artists to do recreations of very classic comics covers.
Now, this isn't the Kamiko Black Book, or is it?
That was for one of the Black, White, and Red series. I reinterpreted that.
Okay, yeah.
And reinterpreted it again. It's a great image. Why not do it again?
Absolutely. This one too, Matt.
Master's Edition.
Did you paint this one? That was a commission too, right?
Yes, that was a commission too. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you painted it. That's
yep.
Yep. God, insane. Yeah, this is amazing.
There's something wrong in it too.
Something wrong.
Yeah. Click on it. Can you click on it?
Yep.
I forgot to put the hole in the skull.
Oh
yeah.
Whoa. Little Easter egg there.
Easter egg.
This happened.
We all fuck up sometimes.
Yeah.
It's an untrue skull.
Yeah.
Yeah, an untrue skull. There you go, Ben.
What's this? What's the Mage Interlude one?
Oh, that was so when the pandemic hit and all publication was paused, I kind of survived by doing private commissions for people. And that was a big Mage fan who said to me, "Why don't you do me a cover for what would have been the cover to the interlude story?"
Oh, wow.
What a great idea.
So that was that. Go down to the Spidey and Goblin there. So that was for the Hero Initiative one year. It was all the pieces were supposed to be, I think, Spidey and Goblin. There was a Spidey and Goblin or Spidey and other Spidey villains.
I can't remember.
But so I teamed up with Tim Sale, and so we did 2 pieces. One wherein I did the layout and the base pencils, and then he inked part of it and I inked part of it, and another one where he did the layout and the base pencils and I inked part of it and he inked part of it.
Wow.
So can anybody guess who did what on that one?
Yeah, the vapor trail looks so very like Tim Sale composition.
Vapor Tail's very Tim Sale. Yep.
Yeah.
But the highlight on the chin where just the webbing gets picked up is super cool.
So that was me. That was the red part was me. So
Interesting.
so I inked I inked all the foreground shit. I penciled it. I did the Goblin on his flyer. I did Spidey, and I did the buildings.
Oh, those look like your buildings.
Yep. And then Tim did that gorgeous ink wash background, and I told him, but send it back to me because I want to add like one red detail on Spider-Man's costume, and I did that part too. I'll leave it up to other people to. I don't think I have the other piece posted, but the other piece is very cool too, and it's also a very neat synthesis of me and Tim working in tandem.
Yeah, that's so good. There's so much on here. I love seeing you do Silver Surfer. That's almost like a Silver Surfer Black almost.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This one too. I love this one. That was my phone background for a while.
Was it? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is an interesting one. This was the one that you did for Ray Bradbury, and it was
yeah. So that was when Topps Comics had the rights to Ray Bradbury comics, Ray Bradbury stories, and Harvey Kurtzman. This was the last project Kurtzman did before he died. He had done the breakdowns for a very this is a very kind of tragic story. He had done the breakdowns for a very minor Bradbury story, and nobody could figure out why did he do this. Even Bradbury says this was more of a writing exercise for him than an actual story. It's a murder mystery, like a typical drawing room murder mystery, told from the point of view of the victim. It's narrated by the victim and the guy laying on the floor dead with his throat cut, and all the characters are basically caricatures. So it's the femme fatale, the reporter, the detective, the coroner, and they wanted to know if I wanted to do finishes on it. And so there's a long story there about how that went, but I was determined I was going to do it to try to capture Harvey's cartooniness, because people would work over Harvey's layouts and they would draw it very naturalistically to try and, fix Harvey's drawing. And I was like, no, I want to capture Harvey's drawing. So I tried to keep it very exaggerated and cartoony. And it was only about halfway through that I realized this is at the point where Harvey was himself very ill and he knew he was dying. And this was a story from the point of view of a pissed off dead guy. And I found that very kind of moving. When I was about halfway through it, I realized that was what was going on, and really kind of inspired me to really give it my all. So
damn
cool story. I don't think it's ever been reprinted. It's in
it's like
I forget which issue. If you do a little research, you can find it. But it's one of the issues of Topps Comics, Ray Bradbury comics.
I think it's 3. I'm not positive.
Is it? Yeah, it's either 2 or 3. I think you're right, Eli.
Just want to throw this in there. Epi Thatcher himself showed up and wanted to say that Dracula is one of the best books in the past 20 years.
Oh, right on. Well, thank you very much. I will pass it on to Kelly. He will be overjoyed to hear that. Here's a cool thing to offer too. I don't know if I should mention this yet. Nah, got to hold on to that one till the launch. I got to hold on to that till the launch of Dracula itself, till the actual launch.
Again, amazing stuff. And James again wants to say,
of course, you noticed the missing hole. Good for you, dude.
He spent 3 months trying to decode.
Just fucked up.
It's another skull. He's like Predator or something.
Yeah, maybe that's Christine's skull.
No, it's not.
I'm trying to make it work.
It's just my fuck up. I own it.
All right.
It's just the reflection. He was in the pool.
But you see here, as you go through the gallery, there's all sorts
this is
of
cool
stuff.
to
There's
see.
my black
Wizards.
and white cover for the last issue of Django Zorro.
Yeah.
Okay, here, I'll tell that fun tale too. So
Django Zorro?
Yeah. So, I wrote Zorro for a number of years for Dynamite Comics, and the guy that was the publisher of Dynamite, Nick Barucci, contacted me and say, hey, we're talking with Quentin Tarantino about doing a Django Zorro crossover. Would you be interested in co-writing that? And I was like, well, that's never going to happen, but okay, sure, and forgot all about it and went home. And I don't know, I want to say 2 months later, I heard from Nick again, and he said, let me preface this by saying that Nick was good friends with Reggie Hudlin, who was the producer of Django Zorro and had his fingerprint in comics quite a bit. He's written a bunch of really great Black Panther stuff. So he was the producer of Django Zorro. He was good friends with Nick. That's how this all came about. So Nick contacted me again and said, hey, we sent Quentin all of your Zorro stuff. He loved it. He wants you to come down to his house next weekend. And I was just like, okay, sure. Awesome. And I kept saying to my wife, this is going to fall apart at any second. Like at any second, this deal's going to go south, And so, nope. I flew down to Los Angeles. I rented a car. I drove up into the hills. Even when I pulled up to Quentin's gate, I was like, this is going to fall apart. It's going to be like, sorry, dude, Sam Jackson showed up. Couldn't do it today. Nope. The exact opposite. He rang me through the gate, met me at the door, took me to see his comics. We spent 2 days working on this story together. It was awesome.
Didn't you tell me you were in his personal home theater watching?
He
lives in a different place now. He has since gotten married. He actually got trapped in Israel. He married an Israeli woman, and he got trapped in Israel during the pandemic. They had flown over to visit her parents, and the pandemic hit, and he was trapped there for, I want to say, 2 years.
Whoa,
something like that. But yeah, at that point, he had just an awesome screening room, and yeah, we spent several days watching all sorts of cool movies. When he starts working with somebody, he wants to watch movies with you, so you get in the same mindset. And we did. We'd watch something, and then we'd go back up on his deck and work on the story a little bit, and then go back down and watch another movie, and go back up on the deck, and it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing.
And he and I are pretty much the same age, and have a lot of the same cultural touch points. And he had just gotten back from San Diego, the San Diego Con, and he had bought a huge stack. I want to say about 30 issues tall of those Marvel black and white mags from the 70s. So Dracula Lives, Tales of the Zombie, Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, all that sort of shit. And we just sat there geeking out over those for a while.
Damn.
And then I said to him, wait, man, you were at San Diego? How did you walk around San Diego and not get mobbed? And he had a Mexican wrestling mask on.
I love that. You never know who you're talking to.
Incognito.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. This is really an interesting one because, Matt, I feel like people keep asking about this. We talked about it a little bit on the last time you were on the show, but there's a fascination with the Aerialist.
Oh, yeah.
I know you talked about why you didn't do more and why you didn't finish it, but are there any interesting stories while it was being created or before?
Well, I started it when Kamiko went down, and my creator-owned books, Grendel and Mage, were tied up in bankruptcy law and bankruptcy court. And I was just so fucking pissed off, and I decided to do this story that would be beautifully drawn to draw people in, and then I wanted to hit a bunch of cultural sore spots. For instance, making the fact that they needed zero population growth, and therefore gay sex would be normal and not heterosexual sex, because you needed no breeding. Breeding needed to be controlled. You needed to have an industrial plant that you could get the most use out of. So hemp was the main, pot and hemp were the main crops. And, I don't know. At one point then, Mage and Grendel got free of their bankruptcy constraints, and they came back to me, and I went back to my first children. And I don't know, at this point, I don't feel like marijuana or gay marriage are that controversial anymore. So
yeah, as mainstream and normal.
I don't feel like that narrative has a point any longer. So probably that'll be my one great unfinished. Every comic artist has one great unfinished epic, and that's mine.
Yeah, and it clearly holds, a lot of people's, creative minds and curiosity. So that's really great. Tyler asks, what do you think of the new Zorro series on Amazon? Oh, I didn't even know there was one.
Yeah, I tried it and got turned off right away because almost right away it turned into that Zack Snyder kind of slow motion fighting, which I just feel like, oh my god, this shit again. It just turned me off. So, and I have no qualms about new Zorro stuff, like the Mask of Zorro, which isn't that new anymore, but the Antonio Banderas thing, updating of the Grendel myth, the Zorro mythos, I thought was just absolutely brilliant. But I don't know, it seemed a lot of style over substance. Now I've had a lot of people tell me that no, it's quite good, you should give it another shot, and maybe I will at some point, but turned me off pretty quick.
I actually watched some of the old Zorro that I remembered watching on Nickelodeon when I was growing up, and now it's on Disney Plus. I think there was like TV movies or serials or something. It's all there now.
The Disney stuff, the Guy Williams stuff, the black
I
and
think
white
so,
stuff.
yeah. It's on Disney Plus.
that was a TV show. Yeah. What you should check out on YouTube is how one of the first ways I discovered Zorro was that Disney show, but then I lived somewhere in my early teens where we had UHF stations as opposed to VHF stations. Some of you will know what that means, some of you won't. But the one station showed on Sunday nights, they had a silent film theater and they would show silent films. And I saw Douglas Fairbanks' original Mark of Zorro, which came out only several years, I want to say like 2 years after the publication of the original pulp novel. Fairbanks had just formed United Artists with his then wife, Mary Pickford, and Charlie Chaplin. And he was looking for a property that could really show off his sense of kind of devil may care daredevilism and his athleticism, and he optioned the rights. Zorro would not be the character it is today if he had not early on optioned and done this film. Anyway, if you look on YouTube, there's a sequence in the middle that's a chase sequence where Zorro plants his sword in a tree and leaves a note for the soldiers. It says, "This is my last sword. I'm going to the village to have breakfast. I dare you to find me and capture me." And it is this incredible extended sequence. And Fairbanks is doing all of his own stunts. And it is just leaping and jumping and swinging. And it's magnificent. It's just an absolute testament to early filmmaking, and just enthralled me at a very young age, and obviously an effect that never went away.
Yeah, and truly the archetype for so many of these characters, like
so many. Well, think about Batman. Zorro.
That's what he went to see when his parents got killed.
Well, that's on purpose, because Zorro's an aristocrat who
Yeah,
fights against the aristocrats, the corruption of the aristocrats. He wears all black at night. He wears a mask. He has a very special form of transportation, this very fast horse. He has a cave underneath his hacienda that's his secret hideout. He has a mute manservant that knows his secret identity and helps him out. Gee, who's that sound like?
yeah. Amazing. Let's see. Maybe go for another 15 minutes or
Sure.
so. How you feeling? Okay.
Let's make it 10. Let's end at 6:30.
Okay, perfect. So if anyone has any last minute questions, we'll go in here. I don't think there. Let's see. Is there anything else on the website we wanted to show everyone?
I think we hit it all. At least a taste to where everybody can go explore it more on their own.
Yeah, we barely scratched the surface of the gallery. Also, be sure
And
to
I'll
go
be
in
adding more to
there.
the gallery all the time. So
As far as video goes, again, like I of course, but these are the great interviews we were talking about with the Devil in Detail. This right here from the gutters is my favorite interview, Jamie S. Rich and you in your kitchen. And it's mostly about cooking.
yeah, people don't know that in my secret identity, I'm a gourmet cook.
It's amazing.
I
love
can
this video.
attest. Yeah.
Cam has eaten at my place many times.
Yeah. Like
I actually cook a meal there that
Oh, that's awesome. I haven't
is
seen
very
yeah, that's so great. There's a second part to that one where you guys go downstairs to the studio, but this I guess that's where I learned, other than that comic you made about making chicken parm. That video is amazing.
Yeah, if anybody doesn't know about that, so there's the little shot there of my sister-in-law Diana Schutz right there. And a number of years ago, she did a book called Autobiographics for Dark Horse, where she had a bunch of people doing autobiographical comics and people that don't normally do autobiographical comics. So, of course, you have, Joe Matt and folks like that who record their daily lives in comic book form. But she was hitting up people that don't normally do that. So she had Frank Miller do one. She had Will Eisner do one. She asked me to do one. And I said, well, Mage is kind of my autobiographical comic. It's an allegory, but, she said, but I really need you to be in this book. So again, since most people don't know I'm a cook, I did a little short story called Comic Book Chef, where I showed people how to make chicken parmesan. I didn't want to scare people off. I kept trying to keep it pretty simple. But it was just a step-by-step. Here, you do this, you do this, you do this. Here's how you make it, right? Yeah. And one of my favorite reviews of my work of all time was I was at a convention and I had a decent-sized line, and some guy kind of leans up at the front of the line. He didn't really want to get a signature, but he just knocks on my table and he goes, "Dude, your chicken parmesan, good for the love life."
I'm gonna have to try making that.
I was like, oh man, my favorite review of all time.
That's awesome.
That's great. That's great.
Well, now make some chicken parm if you need an enhancer.
This is a cool question here from James Bravo. Like we said, we talked about his comic, and I think he's getting into,
maybe James. Yep.
I think he gets into the weeds of this. Maybe this is the time period that his comics takes place. Anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing about this big wide open structure of the Grendel saga is certain parts of it are very specific. I keep having people ask me, do another Christine Spars story. Well, it's really hard to do that because we saw every moment that she was Grendel, whereas Hunter Rose, we didn't see every moment that he was Grendel, and certainly the Grendel Khan, Orion, we didn't see every moment of his reign or any of that, or as James says there, the structures of the Grendel clans, how they worked militarily. Yeah. So there's, in many respects, there's room for expansion, and in some there's not. So moving forward, we'll see how that goes.
And I'll tell you, doing the devil in detail and steeping ourselves in this lore, it gets my creativity flying because there's so much to think about. And in the lost years where the story of Christine becomes like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it grows into a religion, it grows into the world government. There's so much
it's big
to dig into there.
It's big, yeah.
It's so amazing. And just as James is saying, he could create his own story in this little corner of the Grendel universe that you've never touched on.
Yeah.
But he can get so into the weeds about stuff.
Well, that's what led to Grendel Tales, was the fact that I had this wide open structure and people could do their own versions that fit into it, And
you could do Grendel Tales for the rest, till the end of time. I feel fill it in. Yeah. All right, we got Adam 12 here again. I'm reading it as 12 because I guess it's Roman numerals.
Yeah.
Can Matt explain why he never finished the Grendel novels? I believe it was supposed to be a trilogy originally. What happened to the rest of that story? Are we talking about the past?
He's talking about Past Prime,
Past Prime, Present Prime.
When I first did that, yes, it was originally going to be a trilogy, and that was before Greg's star really took off, and then all of a sudden Greg's star really took off. So getting him back to do the rest of those, and I didn't feel right just kind of slotting somebody else to do to fill his empty slot. So I don't know. Maybe we will do that eventually in the future. The structure was going to be kind of the course of Grendel and Susan Verhagen's relationship. So the beginning of it, kind of the middle of it, and towards the end of it. We see in Batman Grendel 2 that she actually dies of old age. So very unusual for a warrior of her status, but it happens, and we'll see how that goes. Again, lots of stories to be told. I'm not ruling most anything out.
Yeah, and that's the glory of what you've created, is this amazing universe. All right, any other plans?
Probably won't be in Emerald City.
Yeah, we talked about that a little.
Yep. Again, just too large, these cons. Maybe Rose City. Rose City's not as gigantic. I also kind of have have a thing about appearing locally. You know, I live in the Portland area, and when you appear locally, people just feel like, oh, him again. He's there. He lives here. Who cares?
And maybe Taylor came later, but we were talking. You said you're going to be at what cons coming up? Cleveland,
Cincinnati.
Oh, Cincinnati. Yeah,
Cincinnati, Ohio. And that's the only one scheduled right now, and that is the third weekend. Obviously, Taylor. That's not helping Taylor if he wants to go to Emerald City. That means he's probably local here on the Pacific Northwest coast.
that's a good con. We got a few more videos like this one. You talk at Shepherd College. Chris Pitzer his dad filmed that one. That's an amazing one to watch. No worries, Taylor. All good. But that's an amazing video if you guys haven't seen that. 1990. That's a speech you did at that college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's
only for the fact that I hadn't quite realized I was bald yet and should have shaved my head. But what was interesting about that was very near where my parents lived, and that was the first chance they got to see me in a public scenario. So that was they were very overcome with the response, and that was kind of neat.
That's awesome. That feels so good. Like, that first time when you show the folks that you're doing something good. And you've done a lot of great event stuff. West Coast Day Vengers as a friend, he's a great guy. Of course, the Kayfabe Shoot interview, and you and Kelly on there. Ancient Brain Parts.
It's not Ancient Brain Parts. That's mine.
Oh,
Strange Brain Parts.
Strange Brain. Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Strange Brain Parts. He did that. He did a really nice Bernie review recently as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Here's our dude Ryan. He's a good friend of mine. And again, we got some great stuff. Comic tropes. Devil's Crucible. Defiant.
We'll be posting more of those as I dig them up on YouTube.
Absolutely. Yeah. And again, we'll keep updating the page. We're gonna add. Sorry, I didn't mean to highlight that, Taylor. To add that you were late, but no worries. And we're gonna make
better late than never, Taylor.
Exactly. We're happy you're here. We're happy.
We'll add a thing so that you guys can subscribe, so that we'll send out notifications when we get new stuff. Let's look at the orders so we can get a list right here at the end. We got a bunch. We did well. Okay, so shout out to Victor Bracamontes, Christian Misi, Joshua Flanders, Kevin Sargent, Adam M., Jacob Zier, my boy, my oldest friend, Ryan Doherty. Thanks for that, dude. PJ Walchrist. Shout out
PJ.
to all
Hi,
them.
PJ.
Yeah.
I've known PJ for years.
So let's see. Just to quick, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's still 12 of
12 slots to get a free remark. Yep.
Oh my God. There we go. Hey, StreamYard's amazing.
Yeah.
And
Eli, thanks so much for hosting us tonight, man. You were always a wonderful help and a great shepherd for these sort of events, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love the stuff, and it that helps. So it's been a lot of fun. Cam, you're going to be fulfilling everyone's orders.
Yep. And I still can't spell remark properly.
It's got a Q.
It's, they in the world of comics, they do that to distinguish it from a comment.
Yeah, it's a remarkable remark. I get it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sweet. All right, awesome, guys. That brings
everybody,
us up.
thanks for showing up for this. We will be posting this on YouTube. So if you want to share it with friends who maybe didn't get a chance to stop by live, please do so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks everyone for your comments. It was really great doing this, and we'll have to do this kind of Q&A type of thing again.
Yeah, we will.
All right, awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And as we say on The Devil in Detail, Vivat Grendel, and keep on Grendelin.
Well,
thanks, everybody.
Later on.